Hi everyone, welcome back to Casual Watch Review channel. We've got something pretty special today. We are looking at a new Spinnaker watch, but this is in a collaboration with Scottish Watches. It's going to be limited to 100 pieces, and I thought rather than me just doing the review, I would invite on the creative mind behind this watch, and that is Rikki from Scottish Watches. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. And I wouldn't say I'm the creative mind. I would say I am a co-collaborator, co-conspirator, because it was between myself and Vishal, who runs Spinnaker, along with a number of other great brands, Aviate, Nubeo, those kind of things. And it was talked about a couple of years ago because Vishal had appeared on the Scottish Watches podcast, explaining all about the brands and how they've got so many great limited editions, collaborations. I mean, most recently, Second had a couple of really good collaborations with their 50 Phantoms, which sold out instantaneously. And then it just so happens our follows on just afterwards. So he does great things, and they bring watches out at a really keen price. And being Scottish, every penny is a prisoner. So I thought it'd be a great idea.
I've worked with Spinnaker quite a few times and Aviate to review their watches, but this is the first time I'd ever seen their Hull version. So this is the Hull version that they sell that has the crown guards on it, and it's definitely got quite the wrist presence, coming in at 189 grams. Why did you go with the Hull in particular?
There was a whole load of choice. They do such a range, but the Hull, it worked best with the design idea that we had. And because of the playful nature of the Scottish Watches podcast, where we always say we're enthusiasts, we're not experts, and we take the piss out of the big guys and the little guys, we wanted to play on a theme, and earlier this year we'd already collaborated with Barbara Plumbo, What's on Her Wrist, and the Out of Order guys over in Italy to produce Scotch on the Rocks, which was a playful idea to do with drinks, another Scottish pastime. And with this one, to celebrate 500 episodes of the podcast, which I think is probably the biggest watch podcast in the world by volume at least, plus listenership, it was just something a bit cool. And as much as Braveheart, the name of the watch, again, is just fanciful because it wasn't exactly, how do we say this politically correctly? It wasn't a documentary. It was more a bit of entertainment and fun when that movie came out. So we thought we'll take the Braveheart name, we'll launch it on St Andrew's Day, 30th of November, and we'll use it to signify and celebrate the fact we hit 500 episodes in the past 5 years.
You've definitely gone all in on the theme, which is the Scottish flag, the saltire. Every part of this watch is in reference to that, including the straps and the way that you've done the bezel as well, which I think is pretty cool. How did you decide on the design of the bezel?
The way that came was, again, chatting back and forward with Vishal. And I know what you're saying, saltire features everywhere, but that is part of our logo. That's kind of what we don't have much in Scotland, but we have a cool logo, a cool saltire flag emblem. We didn't want to go down the kitsch, souvenir, tacky Edinburgh Castle route with the little hairy Highlander and the haggis and the tartan and the bagpipes. We've never wanted to do that. When we've spoken with brands in the past about doing different collaborations, there's always somebody in the room or on the Zoom chat that kind of hypes in with that. Oh, we could do a tartan strap. And I'm like, no chance. And with this one, all we did was we took the saltire from our logo, which crosses across the bezel, and introduced it onto the actual design here, but then we broke it up in the centre so that unless you really know or you've got a keen eye, it just looks like a cool design. But if you know, you know.
And the colour of blue that you've used is very pleasing to the eye. I don't think I've seen another watch that has this shade of blue on it, and it works really well, especially in conjunction with the white. The fact that you've loomed the bezel and the hands and the indices really complement the overall design, I think.
Yeah, that was more on Vishal and the team over there. They got to work with the way that the colours change up, and the loom is slightly different coloured as well, so everything kind of plays together. I'm a big proponent of colour matched date discs, but they said, you know, if we actually make the date disc the opposite colour, it will mix in perfectly with the rest of the stuff on the dial, on the bezel, and it will mirror what's happening over at the 9 o'clock position. So I'm going to let the cat out of the bag and actually tell you something, that you got the watch before I did. I was actually over at this year's Dubai Watch Week when these things were getting sent out, and they literally arrived with people like yourself, like Jodie at Just One More Watch, and the rest of the guys that I speak to. You got them before I did, so this only arrived a couple of hours ago in its mammoth size. I have not removed any of the links yet, but as soon as I do, this will be on the wrist for the next couple of weeks, because you're right, it does. It stands proud, it looks great, and I'm a little bit patriotic. I like Scottishisms, so I'm going to be wearing this one, especially at the end of the month when it goes on sale.
And let's definitely talk about the size now. I think it fits my 7.2 inch wrist perfectly, as you'll see in some of these wrist shots, but it certainly does have a more of a wrist presence than certainly the Christopher Ward one you did. I didn't see that one in person, but I have reviewed that style of Christopher Ward. So this one definitely has a bit more of a wrist presence. I measured it 41.6mm case, although with the crown guards and the crown, it's 45.8. The crown that they've used on here is just beautifully proportioned for the size of the case. We've got a 50.3 from lug to lug. Surprisingly, it's not that thick. It's 14mm thick, but I think for the size of the watch and the fact that it's got the domed sapphire crystal on there, 22mm lug width with the included bracelet diver's extension on the clasp.
Kinda got everything. I know what you're saying about it being a chunky boy, and it is. And compared to the one you're talking about, there was a Highlander edition we did with Christopher Ward. That was based on their Sealander C63. We based that one on, and that was just as that came out. So that was a slightly smaller watch, a lot thinner. But this one, it doesn't wear incredibly massive, and I'm saying that as an owner of an MB&F Mad 1 Red, which is like wearing an aquarium on the wrist. But this one, it's not bad. It's not going to slip under a cuff, as Tim Mosso would like to say. But the lug-to-lug on it is actually not that bad, so it doesn't seem to overhang. And I'm saying this having just put the thing on a couple of hours ago. But yeah, it seems to tick all the boxes for me. And I'm a bit like you. I'm a little bit anal when it comes to checking for details and all the rest of it. And I've never had a problem with any of the Spinnaker watches that we've had through in the past, and I'm very careful about who we agree to do collaborations with. Every week we have a different brand emailing in, contacting us and saying, hey, it'd be good if we could, and I pretty much always turned about 95% of them down. We've done one with Swatch in the past, Christopher Ward, Out of Order, Isotope last year we did one with them, the Alba. And yeah, just quite happy this one has finally arrived just ahead of St. Andrew's Day.
I've liked the fact that you booked the trend, because everyone else is going smaller, aren't they, to 36mm. The trend has been, whereas you've kept this quite a cool size. I love it. And as well, going in with the theme, that laser engraving of your logo, which is definitely an intricate logo, but the way they've laser engraved that on the back, they've done a really cool job of that. They seem to have rendered your logo quite well on the back.
Now, that is something that I wanted to check out as soon as it arrives today. How good a job they did taking our emblem and our crest and then putting it on the back with the engraving. And you're right, they've done it, and it is a very intricate design that doesn't feel that rough on the finger. You know, when you feel something, usually it will scuff away. So that there, you can feel it, but it is not a problem, and it ain't going to annoy you on the wrist at all. And look at that, we're almost coming up for 10 past 10. It's almost as if we'd planned this.
Well, let's talk about some of the other bits. The packaging as well is customized. I like the fact that you've done the overlay over the Spinnaker box. I have to say that the Spinnaker box has never been my favourite. It does look like it should have some sports cologne in it. The other things that you've included are the 2 additional straps, which I think are quite bold. They certainly match the colour scheme of the watch. Having a white and then the light blue leather strap. What was the thinking behind that?
Just sheer lunacy. We wanted it to be fun. It's a crazy big watch. It's going to be bulky. It's going to look massive with the bracelet option. But if you want to change it up, we're actually going to do one strap option. And then we tried both of them, and both colours worked independently because of the bezel and the colours. And Vishal said, why don't we just include both of them in the box with the watch? And I thought, oh yeah, of course. Is it going to affect the price much? And he managed to keep the price down, and I don't think we've touched on that yet.
No.
This is probably the most economical watch collaboration that we've done, and in a world where all the prices are rising and Omega every week, every month are pumping their prices up, this is super inexpensive for what you get. And just over the Swatch that we had out way back in 2020, this is the most economical watch we've put out. So the price, shall I tell them or should you tell them?
No, you fire away.
I know the British price, and it's $395, including the watch, the bracelet, all the paraphernalia you get with it, the leather strap in white, the leather strap in blue, and a little funky carrying case for all the bits and bobs that you get with it. And in this day and age, that is pretty cool.
How many are going to be available?
I was going to say 100, but it turns out this is number 1 of 100. So I reckon there's about 95 that will go on sale. I know it was celebrating 500 episodes, but we thought 500 was a little bit rich. We talk about things in our podcast about limited edition releases from the likes of Seiko, Grand Seiko and Omega, where 15,000 to them appears limited. But mostly we look at 20, 50, or for the Christopher Ward we had 69 available. And with this one we decided to go for 100 because it is fairly economical, even in this day and age when every penny is a prisoner. But we thought that'd be a good idea. And we had a lot of people actually contact us the last couple of times we've done a limited release of 50. And they've said, is there any left? As if we've got a spare stash somewhere in a storeroom, which we do not. And we thought, well, this time around, if we go for 100, at least everybody that wants to get one, as long as they get in quick, they'll be able to.
And it's automatic using the NH35A movement. Mine's been keeping excellent time. I've been wearing this ever since you sent it over, ever since it was sent over. I think you've done a great job of this. As you said, it is a lot of fun. It just brings a smile to the face. The colours, the included strap, the sapphire crystal looks awesome on it, really accentuates the dial, the indices, the way that the minute hand goes all the way to the minute track on the outer edge, which is something that I absolutely adore seeing.
I'm busy staring into it as well, because like I say, 2 hours ago it arrived and I unboxed it whilst doing a million and one other things today, because it's been a crazy day here. And I'm looking at it with studio lights under these cameras, and I'm kind of falling in love with it all over again, because there are tons of little touches that in a render or in a Zoom meeting when you're getting things back and forward, and we never get any prototypes. We just left it in Vishal and the team's hands because they know what they're doing. They've been doing it for so long. And I had a thought today when it arrived, and that was back in 2017 when I first got into watches, and I decided 3 months into the hobby to buy a plane ticket to Switzerland, to buy an entry ticket to Baselworld 2017. I went in there and I actually found the stand that had Spinnaker and Aviate and all the different brands that they deal with. And I was looking around at all these cool limited editions, and I never thought that fast forward 6 years, I would actually have one produced and have it in my hand. So it's a pretty cool day. Very special to me because, as I said, I'm into all things Scottish, very proud of the heritage of my country, and absolutely love this guy. And if you're not into Scotland and you like the colour blue, then it's the perfect fit as well.
It's released on the 30th of November. How do people get a hold of it?
They go to the Spinnaker website, because it's Spinnaker and they know what they're doing online. Everything is taken care of through their platform. And when I spoke to the guys, they said that fulfillment would be within a week or two. So delivery won't be 6 months in the future. Nothing like that. They will get them out as quick as they can.
Well, that's been awesome. Go to the link, check it out. It's released on the 30th of November. Thanks to Rikki for joining me, and we'll see you next time on Casual Watch Reviews.